Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're uncovering something pretty wild. The financial systems working quietly, right behind the scenes, that allow banks to literally make absolute billions. But more importantly, we're going to look at how you can actually take their exact strategies and use them to build your own wealth.
So think about it for a second. Just picture a busy bank on a typical Monday morning. You've got people depositing cash, asking for home loans, paying off credit cards. Everyone has a totally different reason for being there. But have you ever stopped to consider this? No matter what is happening in the wider economy, whether the markets are absolutely booming, people are buying houses left and right, or the public is seriously struggling with debt, banks somehow just continually grow their billions? Is it just luck, magic, or is it a finely tuned system working right under our noses?
Well, here is the core secret. If a bank just took your money and locked your deposits in a giant, secure vault, it would earn absolutely zero. Money sitting still creates no value whatsoever. Banks make their billions by moving money. They take your deposits, leverage them, and turn them into a massive, powerful revenue generator.
Section 1. How banks make billions. Okay, let's dive into this. To really grasp how this insane wealth generation works, we need to look at the modern banking system for what it truly is. It's a bridge. On one side of this bridge, you have savers. Let's say 10 people deposit 1 lakh rupees each. The bank now has 10 lakh rupees. They don't just hold on to it, right? They take that cash and lend it to the people on the exact opposite side of the bridge, the borrowers. Those borrowers use it for home loans, business loans, or education, and they pay a much higher interest rate back to the bank. The bank pays you a tiny little slice of interest and pockets the massive difference. Basically, your money is quite literally their raw material for profit.
Section 2. The hidden debt traps.
You see, banks don't just rely on standard loans to make their money. They also employ some incredibly brilliant and, frankly, somewhat dangerous psychological tools to keep consumers borrowing, starting with the grand illusion of affordability. Let's take Rahul and Priya. Rahul sees a flashy luxury car and is told, hey, it's only 18,000 rupees a month. That monthly payment feels super affordable, so he just signs impulsively. He completely ignores the massive amount of total interest he's going to pay over the years. Priya, on the other hand, steps back and asks herself a different set of questions. Do I really need this? And what is the actual total lifetime cost of this loan before I sign on the dotted line? Priya's habit of looking right past that shiny monthly payment saves her an absolute fortune.
And this brilliantly illustrates a crucial reality. Loans aren't inherently evil. They help us start businesses, buy homes, and fund educations. Honestly, think of debt exactly like fire. A controlled fire cooks your dinner and heats your home safely. But an uncontrolled fire, it can destroy absolutely everything in its path. Debt only becomes dangerous when you use it carelessly to fund a lifestyle you can't actually afford.
Right, so this brings us to the ultimate credit card machine. Take Jason, for example. He goes out, buys a new gaming console, some really expensive sneakers, and when the bill finally comes, he just smiles and pays the minimum due. What Jason doesn't realize is that his unpaid balance is accruing interest like a leaky bucket. Month after month, that leak just gets bigger and bigger. Now contrast that with Sophia. She uses her credit card purely for the convenience and the sweet rewards points. She pays her full balance every single month, on the dot, and never pays a single dime in interest. It's the exact same tool, but it leads to completely different financial futures.
Let's look at another super common psychological trap. Imagine walking into a store and seeing a brand new, top-of-the-line smartphone. The price tag hits you, 1,20,000 rupees. Now, would you hesitate to hand over that much cash right there on the spot? Most of us totally would. We immediately feel the real psychological pain of that money leaving our hands.
But then the salesperson smiles and says, oh, don't worry, it's only $3,999 a month. Suddenly, boom, the psychological pain is just gone. This is the EMI trap, the equated monthly installment. It makes massive purchases feel instantly affordable, but it quietly, slowly consumes your future income. EMIs are kind of like small drops of water falling into a glass. One drop really doesn't matter, right? But if you keep adding drops every month for a phone, a car, all your streaming subscriptions, eventually that glass overflows and your financial flexibility just disappears completely.
Section 3. The power of compounding.
So the crucial point is, how do we shift from being the ones constantly paying the bank to the ones acting like the bank? Well, we need to use their exact same mathematical force, compound interest. It's often called the eighth wonder of the world for a very good reason.
Think of it like a snowball rolling down a snowy hill. At first, it's tiny. You can barely even see it growing. But as it keeps rolling, it gathers more snow, getting larger and faster. Money works the exact same way. When your returns stay invested, they start generating their very own returns. The momentum becomes practically unstoppable.
Let's compare two guys, Aman and David. Both get 1 lakh rupees. Aman wants instant gratification, so he blows his money on a luxury vacation and a bunch of new gadgets. By the end of the year, that money's just gone. Poof! David takes his 1 lakh, invests it, and leaves it entirely alone for 10 straight years. David's absolute patience allows compound interest to really work its magic. But you have to remember this one thing. Compounding doesn't care if it's building your wealth like David or ruthlessly growing your credit card debt like Jason from earlier. It just blindly follows the numbers.
Section 4. How wealthy people think. Now that we've got the math down, we really need to understand the mindset. What specific mental shifts actually separate long-term wealth builders from people who are just forever trapped by monthly bills? Honestly, it boils down to this fundamental difference. When money comes in, the middle class asks, "What can I buy with this?" But the wealthy, they ask, "What can I build with this?" Wealthy people use their money to buy assets and build systems that literally work while they sleep. They don't just buy liabilities that lose half their value the second they leave the store.
Let's move to and see how this builds over time with Ethan and Chris. Ethan follows the ultimate golden rule of finance. He pays himself first. Before paying any regular bills or buying luxury items, he automatically invests a portion of his salary. Chris, however, gets a raise at work and immediately upgrades his car and books an expensive vacation. Chris suffers from something called dangerous lifestyle creep. From the outside looking in, Chris looks super rich. But Ethan, who is quietly accumulating real wealth in the background, is the one who is actually financially secure.
Section 5. Roadmap to Financial Freedom.
All right, we've seen the traps, we understand the math, and we know the mindset. Now let's look at the actual actionable playbook to transform you from a passive banking consumer into a truly empowered wealth builder. The difference between success and failure so often comes down to just taking action. Alex is the guy who always says, "Yeah, I'll start saving next month." But, next month always brings another festival or another huge sale. Emma doesn't wait for the perfect moment or some massive salary bump. She takes small, highly consistent financial steps every single month. Emma proves you absolutely do not need millions to reach financial freedom, you just need a solid plan.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is Emma's roadmap. It's actually incredibly straightforward. Here are 6 concrete steps to financial freedom. 1. Create a budget, so you know exactly where your hard-earned money is going. 2. Build an emergency fund to give yourself some real peace of mind. 3. Eliminate high-interest debt, because honestly, that is literally your wealth burning away. 4. Invest consistently, month in and month out, totally ignoring market panic. 5. Build multiple incomes, so you aren't completely reliant on just one paycheck. And 6. Keep learning. Consistency across these 6 steps will always beat occasional panicked financial effort.
As you actually start taking these steps, I want you to keep this one thought in the back of your mind. Most people wildly overestimate what they can achieve in a single year, but they drastically underestimate what they can achieve in 10 years. Patience is one of the single greatest financial advantages anyone can possibly have. Real wealth rarely appears overnight, but with discipline, it for sure will appear. So I want to leave you with a final, somewhat provocative thought for today. If you continue managing your money exactly the way you do right now, at this very moment, where will you be 10 years from now? Are you still going to be working for the bank, or is your money finally going to be working for you? Remember, your financial future is built on hundreds of tiny, everyday decisions. Make today the day you decide to change your trajectory. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer.